Ontario Power Generation is moving ahead with a plan to extend the life of the aging Pickering Nuclear Plant. Our Richard Southern was there for an announcement today. And Richard, this plan comes as the province tries to secure more electricity supply.
Yeah, Melissa, I mean, Ontario is facing an energy crunch. Demand for electricity expected to increase a lot in the coming years. And that's what's brought us to the Pickering Generating Station here. You can see some of the reactors just behind me. What the government's announcing today is a plan to try and keep the Pickering nuclear facility up and running for as long as 30 more years, scrapping a previous plan to retire this decades-old aging plant. There are some big questions about this plan, most notably, what is it going to cost? All the government would say today is that it's setting aside $2 billion just for some of the design work. It won't say what this refurbishment is going to cost to keep this going for 30 more years. There are a lot of people not happy about this. Environmental groups say you should be spending this money on wind and solar. I had a chance to ask the Energy Minister, Todd Smith, about that. Why don't you spend this money on wind and solar, which experts say can easily make up the power shortfall from Pickering? Why not do that instead of rebuilding an aging end-of-its-life facility, sir?
Because this is the plan that makes sense. It's as simple as that. What others are saying we should do doesn't make sense for the stability of our grid. We asked OPG to do the feasibility study on what it would potentially cost. We asked the independent electricity system operator, our system manager here in Ontario, when it comes to managing our electricity grid, what would make the most sense. And their comparator was, from refurbishing Pickering. They compared it with building new nuclear. They also compared it to intermittent renewables paired with battery storage. And what they found was this by far made the most sense.
Why can't you give us a ballpark about what it's going to cost? How can the government say it supports this without knowing what it costs? And if there's any cost overruns, will it be passed on to ratepayers?
Yeah, so what I would say is we have the experience on doing this already, albeit these units are somewhat smaller than the ones that we are talking about at Darlington and Bruce, where we are refurbishing now. Ken talks of the lessons learned, the sharing of information between Bruce Power and OPG. This is the responsible, pragmatic way to move forward to ensure that we have the power that we need. And the independent electricity system operator agrees with that.
So very much a non-answer on cost. I mean, if it's $2 billion just for like the preliminary planning, one can imagine that we are talking here likely in the many billions of dollars. And Melissa, we're going to hear in a bit, certainly at CityNews at 5 and 6 as part of my full story on this, we're going to hear from environmental groups who take big issue with what the minister was saying there. I mean, this Pickering facility here accounts for 14% of the electricity Ontario uses. And some of these groups are saying, Melissa, that, wind and solar could actually, if you build enough of it, could actually account for 100% of Ontario's energy needs. So you could make up for Pickering going offline with wind and solar. Clearly, the minister, though, looking to go in another direction with that.
Okay, sure. So costs, green energy concerns there. But I'm also wondering, keeping a nuclear plant around for an extra 3 decades, is that safe?
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly a big question, too. There's going to be a complete refurbishment of not older reactors, just some of the newer ones, newer meaning some of the ones that were built in the late 80s. It's going to take, the government says, 11 years to properly and safely, they contend, Melissa, refurbish them. So I'm sure, safety is top of mind here, and it's going to take a long time to do that. In the 11 years that were almost offline at Pickering, the government says it will make up for some of the electricity shortfall with renewables like wind and solar and battery power.
Richard Southern bringing us the latest from Pickering. Thanks for that.
Thank you.